and 18 says, "But thou shalt remember the Lord, for it is he that give thee the power to get wealth." My motion. Yep. Thank you. Yes, Deuteronomy 8 and 18. All right. "But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee the power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore unto thy fathers, as it is this day." And then Deuteronomy 28 and 8. "The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee, your houses, and in all that thou settest thy hands to do, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee." In 2023, UPS workers represented by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters threatened to strike if an agreement with their employer was not reached by July 31st. The strike deadline. As part of the agreement, yes, paid their drivers record high wages. By the end of the 5-year contract, drivers would earn an average of $170,000 annually benefits. However, fast forward September 24, UPS slashed over 12,000 jobs. In 2023, UPS CEO Carol Tomei was compensated $20.4 million, a 23% increase over the previous year, while the average UPS worker earns about $53,700. According to CNBC, here's the doozy. I don't have the microphone up, sorry. According to CNBC, Elon Musk announced that Tesla in 2023, Tesla would cut more than 10% of its global workforce, resulting in over 143,000 layoffs by the end of the year. At the same time, Musk demanded a $56 billion compensation package approved by the shareholders in 2018. Though a Delaware judge initially struck down the salary, Musk returned to the shareholders who approved it once again. So after laying off 140,000 employees, Musk secured his $56 billion payout. In March of 2023, NPR reported that Walmart would have layoffs starting in August. By the end of the year, hundreds of employees were let go. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon earned $26.9 million in 2024. That's a 6.6 increase over the previous year. According to Yahoo News, Cisco laid off 4,000 employees in February of this year and another 5,600 in August. Intel also cut 15% of its workforce, around 17,500 jobs. Tech was once considered secure and highly lucrative, but it has shown that it's no longer immune to layoffs. Cisco CEO Chuck Robbins earned $31.8 million in total compensation in 2023. Forbes reported that approximately 3,600 federal jobs were cut in 2024. You know, they used to say, get a government job, you know, you'll have a job forever, great benefits, you're protected. That's no longer the case. As of September of this year, nearly 4,500 companies have announced layoffs. My point is, these jobs ain't loyal. There is no such thing as job security. It doesn't matter what industry you're working in, what field you're in, you are not immune to being laid off. Most states have adopted at-will employment laws. Basically, what that means is that your employer can lay you off for any reason. Your supervisor simply don't like what you wore today. You're fired. Of course, there's exceptions. They can't fire you if you're pregnant. They can't fire you if you're maternity leave, etc. But for the most part, they can get rid of you for whatever reason they feel like it. So picture it. The year was 2016. The place was Minot, North Dakota. Oil was flowing and there was abundance of money to be made. There was a lot of money to be made. At the time, North Dakota was the second highest producer of oil outside of Texas. My husband would go to work and he literally did not know what time he was getting off. I was like, what do you mean you don't know what time you're getting off? Everybody know what time they getting off. Where you going? But when he brought his paycheck on, I was like, yeah, you really been at work? You been at work? I was a CNA. I was making $12 an hour. I was overworked, underpaid, and definitely unappreciated. But I didn't make any moves because my husband had the money. My husband had the money. I didn't have nothing to worry about. Then one day, the boom went bust. My husband went to work, and they said, we're going to have to lay some people off. Luckily, he didn't get laid off, but less than 30 days later, the entire company was out of business. So he found another job. The only thing is he had to go 2 hours away to work. It was the same deal. It was supposed to be a 12-hour shift. Most of the time, it turned into 16-hour shift. So sometimes he would stay in a hotel in the other city, drive home the next day after doing his 12 to 16 hours. So that lasted about a good month or two. He got laid off again. Okay, no big deal. He found another job, still making a lot of money. That lasted a couple months. He got laid off again. By this time, I said, you know what, Lord, I'm sick of this. I need some stability. This is not working for me. And my husband, he's Caribbean. He's from the dual country, Trinidad and Tobago. And they don't have social services over there. By this time, we were getting Medicaid and food stamps or whatever. And he was like, I'm not getting that. I'll get another job. I'm like, listen, we have 2 children that need insurance if something happened to us. If you fall out and you don't want insurance, that's okay. But we need some insurance around here. So kicking and screaming, he's like, okay, go ahead and sign up. But he was having a fit. Like, I don't need that. Because in Trinidad, you got to make it do what it do. They don't have any programs to go down there and get if you fall on hard times. So he's like, I'm a hustler. I'll find another job. I'm like, well, we need insurance. So I told the Lord, I said, I'm sick of this. And the Lord said, you know what to do? And I said, huh? He said, yeah, you know what to do. And I said, okay, Lord. And I took a leap of faith, and I took my $12 skill as a CNA, and I started my own non-medical in-home care agency. Now, I'll give you a little backstory of how I became a CNA. I did not want to be a CNA, but God knows right where you need to be. To be honest, if I'm totally honest, I thought being a CNA was beneath me because I always had an office job, you know, wearing your little clothes looking cute. And now y'all want me to do what? Take care of some old people and do what? And taking care of some people is not just getting their clothes on. It's the, like, taking care of a baby. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But when I became a CNA, I was living in Georgia, moved there by way of Florida because it was the Great Recession. And I went to Georgia from Florida because I didn't have a job. There was a hurricane coming. And I went to Georgia to get away from the hurricane. The hurricane never did show up. And then when I wanted to go back home to Florida, I I had no money to get home. So I'm stuck at my parents' house, and I'm like, I don't want to be there. We're American. When you get to a certain age, you don't want to be at home. You want to be out on your own. And at the time, I was a homeowner. I was embarrassed. I was like, I got to move back with my mama and daddy. This is not what I planned out. But God knows exactly where you need to be. So I was in Georgia for 3 years, no job. It was the recession. Nobody had a job. Most people didn't have a job. So I went to the unemployment office and I met this lady, and she told me about the Workforce Initiative Act. And she said they'll retrain you to get a job, and she told me where to go. So I went down there. I took their little assessment and everything, and I said, well, okay, I'll take training to be a paralegal. The lady says, we don't offer training for that anymore because law offices are laying off, and we just don't offer training for that anymore. So I said, well, I'll do training for procurement. I used to be a buyer, spending other people's money buying stuff. I'll take training for that. She said, I'm sorry. We don't offer training for that anymore either. But what we do offer training for is certified nursing assistant. I said, I don't want to do that. And I went home with an attitude. Now, I didn't have any job, no money, but I went home with an attitude. I don't want to do that. A year later, still no job. So I went back to W.I.A. The same lady was there. I said, okay, ma'am, I think I'll take the training. By this time, I had moved out of, I think it was Newton County over to Rockdale. And when I told her I moved, she said, you don't have to go over to the other county because you moved. But I can tell you right now, they don't have any money. I said, now, I finally decided to come on down here and take this training, and now y'all talking about y'all don't have no money. So she said, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Since you didn't change your driver's license yet, I'm not going to tell them you moved. So you can go ahead and take the training. So I took the training, and one day I was watching the news with my grandmother. I never watched the news because I lived in Miami most of my adult life, and it was always who shot the sheriff and who robbed who or whatever. So I didn't watch the news. But my grandmother was an avid news watcher, and I was watching the news with her, and I always say Brian Williams and Jesus changed my life. Because Brian Williams, he said, if you want to know where the jobs are at, because remember, it was the Great Recession. Hardly anybody have a job. It was bad times for everybody. He said, if you want to know where the jobs are at, stay tuned. I'm going to tell you. So I'm like, okay, come on back, Brian. Is this 2 minutes up? Come on back. So he came like on the news, and he said, the jobs are in Williston, North Dakota. I said, oh, I never heard of this place. And he panned the Walmart parking lot, and it was cars seemed like miles in the parking lot. And he said, these people are sleeping in their car, not because they want to be homeless, but because there's not enough apartments here. There's so many jobs here. So people are coming to work, but they don't have a place to stay. And I saw this one man, he said, I took the train up, and I got here yesterday, and I got a job today, and I start tomorrow. I said, let me Google this place. Let me find this place. So I heard about this. I found this company, and they recruited me to come to North Dakota. The nursing home that I worked for, they paid for me to move to North Dakota because I didn't have no money. I didn't have 2 nickels. I was broke. I was broke. So they paid for me to move to North Dakota, and I ended up there. And while working at the nursing home, I met a sweet lady named Miss Deb. She was so sweet. She was a white woman. It didn't really make a difference, but I was drawn to her because every day, Miss Deb was the youngest person on my floor. I worked the floor with all women, and Miss Deb was the youngest person on my floor. But every morning, Miss Deb, she got up, she put her makeup on, she got dressed like she had somewhere really to go. And I don't mean like jeans and just a plain old t-shirt. Miss Deb got dressed. So I just took a liking to her. And after I would get my work done, I would go in there and chat with her, and we would talk. And the other people used to get mad and say, well, y'all always in here laughing. What y'all talking about? I said, Miss Deb teaching me how to keep myself together and how to get a man, honey. Because look at Miss Deb. Miss Deb always look good. Miss Deb always look good. So after a while, we started meeting outside of the nursing home. She would take the bus, and I would meet her at the mall. And we would go shopping, and we would go to lunch together. And then I wasn't expecting anything, and months went by. And then one day she said, Shantae, this is no money. Now, mind you, in Georgia, CNAs were making still $7, $8 an hour. So $12 seemed like a lot, but not to me because I was used to making way more money than that. But anyway, she said, Shantae, this is no money. I'm going to tell you where the money is at. I was like, okay, Miss Deb, go ahead and tell me, girlfriend. And she said, you want to do QSP. That's where the money is at. She said, you know, Medicaid will pay you for doing this, and they'll pay you a lot of money. And she told me where to go to do the application. So I was doing that, and I was still working because I was scared to quit my job because I hadn't had a job in almost 3 years, not a real job. You know, some people say, just be happy to have a job. I had a job, but I wasn't happy to have that job because some days it didn't even pay $100 a paycheck, but I was still a tither. I still gave my tithe on my little bit of money that came in. So she taught me what to do, and I started doing it, but I wouldn't quit my job because I hadn't had a job in so long. And I was like, okay, I'm making some money. And then when my husband got laid off from his job, and the Lord said, you know what to do. I was like, no, I don't. He said, yes, you do. I said, okay, Lord. So I started my QSP agency. Other places is known as non-medical home care. And I was able to hire 15 people. So I not only helped my own family, but I was able to help other people. That was one source of income. Now, by this time, I had quit the nursing home because I got pregnant and they was giving me some hassles. And my husband was like, I'm tired of you coming home complaining every day. Just don't go back no more. I was like, okay, they won't see me no more. So I was able to hire 15 employees. But before I was able to hire anybody, I worked 7 days a week, 3 months straight, because I didn't have any money and I didn't have any credit to get a loan. Because I owned a home in Florida, but because I didn't have a job for so long, I couldn't pay my mortgage. Not because I didn't want to pay my mortgage, but I didn't have any money to pay a mortgage. My house almost went into foreclosure, but living in Florida, the courts were backed up so long. And I would get a letter say, you're going to court on this day. But then I would get a letter and say, the date has been changed. That went on for 3 years. Once I moved to North Dakota, I was able to sell my home. And I like to say that's because of the power of a seed. It was the residue from seeds that I had sown previous years before when I had money. Because I always, at the end of every year, it's weird because even before I got saved, I was sowing seed. I still don't understand how that happened. I was always a sower. It make no sense. Why you say not saved, but you giving money to upbuild the kingdom? It's just weird. Anyway, but at the end of, for many years, at the end of every year, I would pray and sit with God and determine how much money I was going to give towards the church that I was a member of by the end of the year. I never told my pastor. I don't think I ever told my pastor I was doing it. It was nothing that my pastor had required. It was something just between me and the Lord because I understood, once I got saved, I understood the principle of sowing and reaping. And it was just something that I wanted to do. And it wasn't a little bit of money, it was thousands of dollars. It was nothing that I could write a check for immediately. It was something that I had to, so to say, pay towards every month and keep track of so that at the end of the year, whatever I had made a pledge to God, that it will be paid off. So I like to say that when my house was not foreclosed on and I was able to sell it and it didn't have an overly negative impact on my credit, it was because of the residue of the seeds that I had previously sown. I like to think of it as like when Boaz told the harvesters to leave something for Ruth. You know, the harvesters had already came through. The harvest had already came, but there was residue left. So I like to liken it to that. But when I was able to hire 15 employees, that gave me a income. And just to say, I had to put my hands to the plow. I couldn't just say, Lord, you know, I'm sick of this. And he tell me what to do. And I had to keep sitting and waiting. I had to get up and do what he told me to do. I couldn't just keep, oh, no, I had to get out and work. I worked 7 days straight for 3 months. No exaggeration. 3 months. I had surgery on my toe, and my toe is got a problem today. I think because I kept going and didn't take time to recuperate. So that gave me a income. And then once I mastered how to run the business, I started teaching other women, women that are mothers, that hey, this is the ideal business for you. First of all, senior care is a $70 billion industry. It's recession resistant because people get old every day. And unfortunately, when some people get old, they're going to need assistance with activities of daily living. And Medicaid will pay you to help those people stay out of the nursing home and live independently and remain in their homes. So this is the ideal business for you because once you get your business up and running, I like to say you can make sleep coins. You make money in your sleep. While somebody else is working, you're still making money as long as you have the proper systems in place where you can keep an eye on things. Because if you are a business owner and you have to work there every day, you're really not a business owner. You're an employee. The ideal is to have other people work for you so that when you take your children to the doctor's office, when you go on vacation, whatever the case may be, you want to sleep late when your kids are old enough to let you sleep late. You are still making money. So I started teaching other women, like, you can do this. I trained other people. Some people took it and ran with it. Some people didn't. They paid. It's like you paid me for nothing because you didn't do anything. But hey, thank you for the money. one of my students, she has 30 employees and she has done $1 million in revenue. So I became a business consultant. That gave me second stream of income. So after that, making money, I went to the car dealer to get a car because now I want a car. I have some money and I didn't know what I know now. I didn't want to pay cash for the car. So I went to the car dealer. I wanted a car. I should have known not to go down there in the first place because I knew my credit was bad, but I'm like, oh, I'm going down there. The people said, ma'am, we can't give you any car. Do you have a car co-signer? I said, no, sir, because my husband didn't have credit. He comes from the Caribbean. They don't have credit unless they have credit now. But when he was growing up, it's, do you have all the cash? If not, we'll see you when you get all the cash. They didn't have credit. So my husband knew nothing about credit. So he didn't have any credit. He couldn't co-sign. And frankly, I didn't know anybody in my family that if they had the credit would co-sign. So I didn't call. So that made me mad. Getting mad, I didn't just go home, sit, whine, and cry. Oh, they didn't give me a car, my credit. I made a decision. I made a decision to do some research, figure out how to repair my own credit. Because, first of all, I didn't want to pay anybody. I'm just starting to make some money. I'm not going to pay you for that. I can find out myself how to do it. So I learned how to repair my own credit. I fixed my credit. So then I wrote a book on how to repair credit, royal credit, turn your credit into royalty. So the book, I put it in e-form. So if people purchased it, you can download it immediately. And the letters that you need to send to the credit bureaus, you just put in your information. I also taught how to rebuild your credit after you get all the negative things off of your credit. I taught things on medical bills are the easiest thing to remove from your credit. I learned about the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and I learned about the CFPB, credit, I can't remember, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, excuse me, and how they have laws to protect you as a consumer, that you have the right to dispute anything on your credit, whether it's yours or not. The credit bureau who is reporting the negative things on your credit have to validate that the item actually belongs to you. And if they cannot do that, then they have to remove it from your credit. And if they don't, then you can file a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau against that credit reporting agency. So I learned how to do that. I put it in the book. I provided the letters. So that was another stream of income. And then some people, for whatever reason, they didn't want to do the work. They would buy the book, but they didn't want to do the work. They started saying, Shantae, can you do it for me? Sure. You want to pay me? Okay. Okay. This is how much I charge, and I'm going to help you out. You have my money off the top? Sure. Let me help you. So that was another stream of income. And the people that I helped repair their credit, they were able to purchase a home. So that gave me another stream of income. Whenever I needed money, and I'm not talking about money for my light bill to pay gas in my car, I mean money to change the financial trajectory of my family, God never sent me money. He never sent me money. He told me where the money was at and how to go get the money. Now, because he gave me the power to get wealth, I had to use my power to get the wealth that he had already promised me. So, help me out, and I lost my train of thought. But I did get unexpectedly $25,000 once. I was not looking for it. I did not even know it was out there. Someone through skip tracing found my information, and they sent a letter to me to an old address. But my niece was living in the apartment that I used to live in. And she's like, Shani, a letter came from you. I told her to open it, read it. I was like, girl, put that in the trash. That's a scam. Ain't nobody gonna get my social security number. I don't know why I was worried about them getting my social security number, because my credit was bad. Like, when you get my social security number and you pull up the credit, you're like, man, we didn't got the wrong one. Get that back. So they sent like 3 letters. So I finally said, okay, let me take a look at it. And when they didn't ask for my social security number, they just asked me to have some documents notarized. I said, okay, I can do that. They don't have any personal information, not my birthday, anything. Let me take it down there and get notarized. And I got a check for $24,000. They took $1,000, but hey, 1,000 out of 25, I'll take that. But at the time that I got that money, I did not need the money. I could use the money, but I was not in a financial bind. My husband hadn't lost his job. We didn't have 2 kids. We weren't on food stamps, Medicaid. So it was money that we used and could use, but it wasn't needed. My point is that whenever I needed money, again, God never sent me money. He told me where the money was at and what to do to get the money. Everything that we need to build wealth, to get wealth, is already within us. And, excuse me, y'all, I hear a lot of church people saying, I don't need all that. I just need to be comfortable. The devil is a lie. You do need it. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. If you're just comfortable and barely getting by, how you going to leave something to someone else? And I often say that when I'm dead and gone, my name will remain in the earth. My great grandchildren, cry. My great grandchildren and my nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews to the 10th generation will know me. They may never meet me. Thank you. But they will know who I am. They will say, because of grandma so and so, because of auntie so and so, she changed the direction of our family. Henry Ford, he died in 1947. We still know who Henry Ford is. His children are still wealthy. Everything that we need, God has already blessed us with. And I'll say this. I was thinking about Prince Harry. You know, he's the son of the king because the queen has passed. He's the son of the king. Prince Harry then dishonored and disgraced his family. Not only his family, but his father. He has dishonored his family, his father. The Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father. He got married. Whatever happened, he decided he was going to leave the kingdom. Leave and leave in peace. If you want to go, go ahead. But he decided to go on a whole media blitz to run down his family. Forget the family, to run down his daddy. Like, who does that? It's one thing if you talk about your family, your parents in private. Because me and my brother, my younger brother, we can't call my older brother with nothing because he might just, you know. But my younger brother, when my mom make us mad, we don't talk trash about her. We're not gonna do that. But when we make us mad, I'll call and say, Ike, your mom then got on my nerves. Now I won't tell her, because even at my big age of 47, she might lay me out. And I mean, not lay me out with the words, but lay me out. So I'll say, your mama done got on my nerves. And I'll tell them what she did. But there is no way I'm going to tell other people in the family. There is no way I'm going to get on social media talking about child, my mama, and she did this, and I don't like that. Really? Who does that? Now, Prince Harry, he has done all that. But I have not heard one day that he is struggling and that he is down bad and that he needs a handout. When he decided to leave the kingdom, I don't know if he didn't have his security together. He didn't count up the cost of what happened. He went to stay on Tyler Perry's property. I was like, Tyler Perry, His name and who he was related to opened doors for him. It was nothing he did. He's not even heir to the throne. He's like way behind. A whole bunch of people got to die off before he even become heir. But his father and his grandmother, their name opened doors for him. We are the children of the Most High God, King of kings. All other kings will bow down to him. Why are we struggling financially? Why are we in lack? If he has given us the power to get well, this is a promise he has promised us before our parents even thought about us, before our grandparents even knew who they were. God promised us. So if Prince Harry, with his disrespectful self, can do all that and he's still looking good, and I hear he's then bought a $6 point something million property over in Portugal. Why are some of us, as children of the Most High God, not doing financially well? We are supposed to be the wealthiest people in our communities. You know, I often say, yes, everybody, we do need to get saved. We do need to preach the gospel. People need healing, but everybody is not sick. But everybody needs and wants some money. If you're broke, busted, and disgusted, it's a bad witness. You say your father owns cattle on 1,000 hills. If you're down bad, I can't tell. Now, I had a problem when I was down bad, and I had to take a look at myself and say, God, what is wrong with me? Because it's me. It's not nobody else. Somewhere in my life, things are not lining up. I have missed something, Lord. And what is wrong with me? I couldn't blame my mama didn't teach me that. She didn't teach me about finances because I'm grown. And if I want to know something, I have to research and find it. And I have to study my Bible for myself to see what the Lord has said about me and what he has promised me. And I said, you know what? I'm heir and joint heir with Jesus Christ. I am a part of the Abrahamic covenant. Abraham was not broke. What am I doing broke? Something is wrong. And help me, Jesus. Help me get it together, Lord. And I thank God that I have learned to step out on faith and just not be afraid. Or even when I am afraid, I do it anyway. Because one thing I had to tell myself, I know too much to be broke. I have too many gifts. I have too much information to be broke. But Lord, help me package this thing that I know and sell it. My life coach says, when life give you lemonade, you throw them in the air, you catch them, you squeeze them, you make some lemonade and sell it. That's what you do when life give you lemons. So I just want to say that everything that we need to change our financial trajectory is already within us. We do not have to live in lack. We should have a vision for wealth. Every year, we should have a vision of what we want in the next year, the 5 years, or what have. We should have a vision. If you don't have any money right now, have a vision for a brighter future. Don't say, oh, I'll always be this way. My family has always lived in the projects. We never had this. Be the first. Break barriers. Be the first. And let them know I'm never going back. Some people are going to be mad at you. They're going to say you're acting different. You're acting funny. Well, yes, I'm acting different because I'm not broke no more. I'm not broke no more. I am I am happy. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to say, when you're going to start a business, everyone should have a business. Or not even if you don't have a business, we're all called to ownership. Everyone is not called to be an entrepreneur, but we're all called to ownership. You cannot leave your job to your children. They cannot inherit a job, but they can inherit property, and property will continue to pay over and over and over again. And don't be afraid. Like some people are like, I don't know, they'll talk my property. It's called insurance. It's called insurance. And if you put your property on Section 8, the government's going to pay you. You're guaranteed to get your money every month. So don't be afraid to be an owner. Don't be afraid. And if you're going to start a business, don't get caught up on what I'm passionate about. Oh, I got to do what I'm passionate about. What you're passionate about may not be fruitful. I was not passionate about being a CNA. I did not want to be a CNA, but it was purposeful. And that's where my treasure was. That's where the money was at. Now, once I became a CNA, I was passionate about treating people rights. I was passionate about doing the right thing. And once I started my business, I was passionate about helping other people have a job, to put food on their table and to take care of their children. I was passionate about helping other women start their own businesses so that they can change their financial dynamic. So don't get caught up on passion. Oh, I got to do something that I'm passionate about. You might be passionate about singing, but you can't sing a lick. That's not your calling. That's not your calling. That is not your calling. that is not that is not your calling. So you might say, well, I don't know what I could do to start a business and what can I do? Think about what if you work on a job, what is it that you do on your job that they pay you for? And how can you use that in your own business? What are your skills and your talent? How can you monetize them? What problems do you solve for other people that now that you usually solve them for free, but now they're gonna start to pay you? So those are the questions you want to ask yourself. And on do all of you have a piece of paper? So draw a line down the middle of the paper. And on one side, write down what you're good at. On the other side, write down what you're great at. And then put a dollar sign next to the things that you can charge people for. Put $2 signs next to the thing that people will pay you more money for. And that's how you figure out what you can do, even if you do it as a side hustle. And one of the best things to create is a digital product. If you create a digital product, you don't have to be anywhere physically. You don't have to ship. It's passive. People can purchase it in the middle of the night. We have to get out of the thing of, oh, I'm on the East Coast, I'm wherever. When you have a digital product, I'm in North Dakota, someone in all the way in California can purchase my product any time of the day or the night. And they download it and they have it immediately. And in the middle of the night, I'm getting paid. And that's what we want. We want passive income. We want our money to work for us. We don't want to have to always work for money because there's only so many hours in a day that you can work. So you want to figure out a way to make money even when you're asleep. Sleep coins. Does anybody have any questions? Can I say something? But this is what I often tell my mother and one of my very, very good friends when we have conversations. Now, the story of Jesus that we're all saved, I'm assuming. We believe Jesus died on the cross. He was brutally murdered, because that's what it was. It was a murder. He was brutally murdered for our sins. They buried him, and on the third day, he got up. He got up with all power in his hand. He saved us. If we can believe that, now this story sounds outlandish when you really think about it, because who else is doing that? This is a once and a forever thing. No one else is dying, getting up on the third day. Jesus died and he rose on the third day. That story is outlandish. People don't like the words I use, but it is. It's far out there, but I believe it. So if I can believe that Jesus died on the died, and on the third day he rose, and he's saving me from a burning hell, how can you not believe him for anything else that you need? It's all about, are you going to trust him? I mean, what are we doing? When you pray over your food, that take out any offense if there be any. Do you really believe, or you believe in what's convenient for you? Because if you don't believe, stop the show and pony act. Either you're gonna believe all, or you're gonna believe part. And I even have to say that about myself, because some things in the scripture I read, I don't like that. And why did this happen? But it's God's word. So if you're struggling in that area, you have to sit in God's word. It's like when you're sick, and I'm sure you can relate, Juva, when you were sick, you found scriptures and meditate on healing. You watch shows on healing. So when you're struggling in finances, or maybe not even struggling, but you want to go to the next level, you got to find in the word where God says, I am the head and not the tail. He told Isaac to sow, don't move, but sow in this very place. And he reaped where he was in the same year. He said, if you give, I will give it back to you. I will open up the windows of heaven, pour you out a blessing you don't have room enough to receive. He said, you are heir and joint heir with Jesus Christ. He said, you are a royal priesthood. You have to concentrate on that. And when you start to give, it's going to get a little shaky. Things are going to come up. And I even had to tell myself this recently, because my husband and I, we purchased a home, and the mortgage is way more than our rent. During COVID, we moved out of the townhome that we were renting, and we moved into an apartment because the Lord told us to, and he told us to start getting out of debt. And we paid off $30,000 in debt. And so our money was low, and the Lord said, buy a home. And I was like, well, we need to save up some money for down payment, because I'm a planner, and I like things to be in this order, because I need to know what's going to be. Don't surprise me. I don't want to go back to.
You're a little bit far off the road.
But the Lord said, buy a house. And I told my mom, I said, I don't know what we're going to get down payment for. And she was like, trust God.
Sure can't hear this.
So we did. We bought a home, and then our mortgage is like 3 times more than our rent was. I'm like, okay, Lord. And I said, but if I'm going to teach this thing, I cannot be a hypocrite. And I was giving when I was broke. When I had a lot of money, when I didn't have a lot of money, I still gave. And I had to think on the previous um, harvest that I reaped. I had to think about the I often say, when you're in a battle, you have to think about the previous wars you won. So I had to go back to that. You know what? God, I trusted you for this. I trusted you for that. And I got to trust you now. I got to remain true to your word, because you don't lie. Everybody else may lie. And sometimes people lie unintentionally. They had good intentions, but it didn't turn out. But you are not a man that should lie, nor the son of man that should repent. And I got to stick by that. You had a question? No. No, I don't do anything with that, but I can tell you that the best state to have a trust is South Dakota. It is the best place to have a trust. They have you fully protected. If you're married and you have a trust, and I don't advocate for nobody getting divorced, but it happens. But if your stuff is in a trust, your spouse cannot get it. Majority of celebrities have their trust and they are registered in the state of South Dakota. Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's legal. Yeah. So you would need to do some research and find someone that could help you with that. I don't do that. Did anyone else have some questions?
Why is the trust different from South Dakota to like here in Texas? Is there a stipulation?
I don't know the differences,
Oh.
what Texas offers, so I can't, I would be making something up if I told you. Does anyone else have a question? Go ahead.
CNA business to open up our, if we're interested in opening up our own.
You can talk to me off the church, but I also have a website